everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my very last haul of 2021. So today's book haul is a fair bit shorter than last one that I did on my channel. That's good, definitely, because I really need to curb my buying books, because if you guys missed my bookshelf tour, I really don't have any more room on those shelves for any more books. So I'm gonna need to be utilizing my local library for the first time in like over a decade. I'm so excited to be able to go to the library. Until then, I have these brand new books that I'm going to be diving into. So without further ado, let's just get into it. There's not many this time. I've acquired 13 more books since my previous haul. So the first one I want to talk about is Daughter of the Deep by Rick Riordan. This one I acquired right when it was released, and I am so excited about it. You guys know how much I love Rick Riordan. I read like 15 plus of his books this year, right? So I am just over the moon to have a book of his that's a little bit different than his Percy Jackson world, because this one is like a similar storyline to like A Thousand Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne, which I'm really excited to read and see what this is about. But yeah, definitely a really exciting one. This follows Anna Dakar, who is a freshman at Harding Pencroft Academy, which is a 5-year high school that graduates the best marine scientists, naval warriors, navigators, and underwater explorers in the world. Anna's freshman year culminates with the class's weekend trial at sea, the details of which have been kept secret. She only hopes that she has what it'll take to succeed. All her worries are blown out of the water when, on the bus ride to their ship, Anna and her schoolmates witness a terrible tragedy that will change the trajectory of their lives. I'm really excited about this. I guess it's not really technically a middle grade. I don't know how old the characters in this are, but if she's a freshman in a 5-year high school, maybe she's like 14 or 15, which is kind of exciting. The next one, I'm considering one book, but it's technically 3 because it is an omnibus, and that is the omnibus of Naomi Novik's In His Majesty's Service. So it's the first 3 books in that series, the Temeraire series. It has His Majesty's Dragon, The Throne of Jade, and Black Powder War within this big chunky boy. I saw this at the thrift store, and I just had to have it because I've been seeing Naomi Novik's books come up on Libby all the time, especially these ones. And I've read only one of Naomi Novik's books so far. It's, I believe, Spinning Silver. And I liked it. I liked her writing. So I want to see how this journey of this fantasy series of hers is, because it is like a historical fantasy with dragons. And that's like literally all I know about it. So I'm excited to dive into this one day and get through all 3 of these books within this bind up. I guess next up we'll talk about Robin Hobb. So I picked up the 2nd and the 3rd of the Assassins series, or I guess the Farseer trilogy, I should probably call it. This is the 2nd book, the 3rd, the last one. I just picked this one up today from the thrift store, and they don't quite match, but I really quite like this old school copy, but they match in size, and that's all that matters to me. So this is just the continuation of her very first trilogy that follows Fitz, and it's like a kind of a slow burn coming of age fantasy novel. I want to say medieval, but I'm not entirely sure if that's the right era for this, but it's fun. There's like interesting magic systems and everything. These are the kind of fantasy books that I like to read when it's like I have nothing else to do and I can devote like the entire day to getting through it, because I do find them quite slow to get through. I have to have all my attention to get on these. But I'm excited with Robin Hobb to get to her next series, like Ship of Magic, because I've only heard good things about that, and that seems like much more up my alley than this one is currently. But I'm still excited to read more Robin Hobb, because Robin Hobb is a, you know, legend amongst the fantasy people, and I want to support women fantasy writer legends. Next, let's talk about Vox Machina, Kith and Kin. You guys, if you know anything about me, I absolutely adore Dungeons and Dragons, and Critical Role is my favorite thing in the world. And when I heard that they were coming out with a book about the twins from Campaign 1, Vex and Vax, played by Liam O'Brien and Laura Bailey, I was just ridiculously excited. And I know that the audiobook is also read by Robbie Damon, who is currently a guest as Dorian, the Air Genasi Bard on Critical Role Campaign 3. And I knew I had to, because I've listened to him narrate the Trials of Apollo audiobooks, and they were just absolutely amazing. He does such a good job. So super excited to listen to this and read this at the same time. But this is by Marieke Niekamp. I guarantee you I said that wrong, but I am so excited to really dive into this and just fall in love with it. I've watched most of campaign 1, so this is like the twins' origin story, like it's a story that happens before they meet the rest of Vox Machina, so I am so excited to see how this story pans out. Very, very excited. Next, let's talk about Jade Fire Gold, which I have already read. This is by June C.L. Tan, and this is a YA fantasy, quest YA fantasy, with two people who eventually fall in love. It's like kind of hate to lovers, not really. It's two people with very different motives. It follows Anne, who doesn't really know anything about her past, except for the fact that she has a very, very deadly magical power that basically can drain the life out of people. And we have Alton, who is the lost heir to the throne kind of vibe. He should be the emperor, but he, like, when he was like a kid, a very little kid, his whole family was like run off the throne and brutally murdered, and he believes himself to be the only one remaining. So this is his quest to regain that throne and become emperor again. So it was good. I gave it like 3.5 stars. It was fine. If you are a really avid YA fantasy reader, you're gonna absolutely adore this, because it definitely takes those familiar tropes and does them really, really well, and like does subvert them a little bit. And I found it really interesting and really cool to read. The next ones that I picked up were Gideon the Ninth and Harold the Ninth, and they're both by Tamsin Muir, and I'm so happy about this series. I've already read Gideon, and I absolutely adored it. From page 1, this was everything that I wanted. I had no idea what was going on for half of it, but that's okay, because it was the kind of confusion that I absolutely adored, and this made it into a almost favorite of the year for me, and I'm really intrigued to see if I like Harrow as much or even more. Definitely love these. And Gideon the Ninth has on the front, lesbian necromancers explore a haunted gothic palace in space, which is true. I would pitch it as a murder mystery in space with necromancers, because that's kind of what it is. There's like a murder mystery, and then the Renan style vibe where people just start dropping off and they don't know what's happening. That kind of a thing. Very good. It was very, very good. And I'm excited to see where Harold goes next. And then the other day I was at the bookstore and I ended up picking up The Obsidian Tower by Melissa Caruso. This was one of those books that I just kind of picked off at the shelf, and I read the back and I was like, you know what, this actually sounds really interesting. I'm gonna give it a try. And I am very excited to do such a thing. Deep within Glomingard Castle lies a black tower. Sealed by ancient magic, it guards a dangerous secret that has been contained for thousands of years. As warden, Rysander knows the warning passed down through generations. Nothing must unseal the door. But one impetuous decision will leave her with blood on her hands and unleash a threat that could doom the world to fall to darkness. So I'm very excited, and it's blurbed on the back by Tasha Shuri, who has quickly become one of my favorite authors, even though I read only one of her books. and she blurbs it as a classic, breathtaking adventure that will thrill and delight any fantasy fan. So I'm excited. And Melissa Caruso has also written like the Tethered Mage series as well. I haven't read that one. I haven't read any of Melissa Caruso's books, but I'm excited to try this one out, and I think this will be a definite delicious fantasy to dive into and really enjoy. The next two are part of a series. So I picked up Leviathan Wakes earlier I believe earlier in November, and then today I picked up the third one in the same series. So this is the first and then the third at the thrift store, because I saw it and I was like, you know what? I'm not passing up the chance to buy these books for like $3, because if they match an edition, I want them on my shelf. So I don't care that it's not the second book, I'm getting it anyways, even though I have not read the first one. I think this is going to be a delicious sci-fi series to dive into in 2022 and to really expand my interest in the world, and I am very excited to do so. So this is the series, Leviathan Wakes is the series that has inspired the show The Expanse, or The Expanse is based off of these books, and this is like a 9-book series, I believe, and it's a, you know, space opera, huge, massive series. I'm excited about this one, and excited to continue it once I get to book 3. Finally, my lovely friend Yeleni gifted me this absolutely amazing book for Christmas, and it is signed, and that is Iron Widow by Sharon J. Zhao, which I am so excited to dive into. This is probably one of the books that I have been most hyped to get into, but most wary, because y'all know I've been having some issues with YA fantasy and sci-fi books recently, but this one sounds like it could change my mind with the reviews that are coming in. So I am over the moon excited about this one. And it's signed, which is so exciting. It's got a book plate in here, which is just amazing. And I really don't even know what this is about. All I know is that the main character is like feral and so angry, which I love to read in books. I love to read when women characters and girl characters are just so mad about the predicament that they're in or whatever they're going through. I really don't know how to describe this book, so I'm just gonna read you most of the Goodreads description. So the boys of Huaxia dream of pairing up with girls to pilot chrysalises, giant transforming robots that can battle the mecha aliens that lurk beyond the Great Wall. It doesn't matter that the girls often die from the mental strain. When 18-year-old Jetian offers herself up as a concubine pilot, it's to assassinate the ace male pilot responsible for her sister's death. But she gets her vengeance in a way nobody expected. She kills him through the psychic link between pilots and emerges from the cockpit unscathed. She's labeled as an Iron Widow, a much feared and much silenced kind of female pilot who can sacrifice boys to power up chrysalises instead. To tame her unnerving yet invaluable mental strength, she's paired up with Li Shemin, the strongest and most controversial male pilot in Huaxia. I don't know how to pronounce that properly. But now that Jetian has had a taste of power, she will not cower so easily. So I am intrigued by this. I'm intrigued because everyone in the reviews has been saying like it's a gritty, dark, uncomfortable, and bursting with the most rich consuming type of anger. That's what Elise from the Petite Punk has described it as, which I am so excited to dive into. I really truly am, and it's just, I'm very excited. So but yes, my friends, that is it. Hello. I realized upon editing this, I forgot to mention 2 books, one of which I have with me, which is The Lighthouse Witches by C.J. Cook. This is a gothic story about this family of women, and it follows 2 timelines, and one of them is set where this family lives at a Scottish like lighthouse, and it's the mom and her 3 daughters, and then it follows another timeline with the middle daughter, who is the only one still around, and it's her trying to figure out this mystery of why her youngest sister, who is supposed to be in her 20s, shows up still the same age she was when she disappeared all those years ago. So I really enjoyed this as well when I read this in October. I believe I read it in October. And the other one that I read, the other book that I picked up was The Ex-Hex, which is currently with my friend because she's still reading it. But that one was just a super fun Halloween-y romance that is like small town, Stars Hollow vibes with witches, and it was a nice little twist on a classic like romance kind of vibe, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it like 3.5 stars or something like that, but yeah, I really liked that one as well. It follows this girl who at the beginning of it puts a curse on an ex, and it comes to fruition when he comes back to town like 10 years later, and then they have to like fix it because they messed up, and the town is now attacking this guy and like kind of falling apart as they go. It's fun, it's like sweet and magical and all that goodness. But yes, 2 books that I realized I didn't mention in this haul. So instead of hauling 13, I hauled 15. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, because there still are a few days left of Jennsmas, and you don't want to miss out on the end of the year content at all and what I have coming in 2022. So I will catch you in another video very, very soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.